breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Buno.
Developing in the Sunshine State, Florida's largest union for educators asking a judge for a temporary injunction to delay the start of the school year, K-12 schooling in person statewide until the fall. Do you agree with the decision? We're getting you the very latest here live, everybody, on WFLA Now. JB Buno here with you, Daisy Ruth in the WFLA Now Stream Center. This is a story that we just learned about in the last half hour. You can read about it now on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. The Florida Education Association has filed asking a judge for a temporary injunction, an emergency injunction, to delay the start of the school year or to delay in-person schooling rather than it be in the end of August, to delay it perhaps towards the fall in September, October, or just later on in the school year. You can read more about it right now on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. The Florida Education Association is the largest union in the state, representing 137,000 educators statewide. Daisy, the very, very latest for our viewers. What do you have to say?
So an attorney for the Florida Education Association has already filed a lawsuit on the union's behalf asking to delay the start of school. But this is, again, yes, the union is asking the judge in the case for an emergency injunction to delay the start of school while this lawsuit is being considered. JB, this is something we've been talking about for weeks now. We have various school districts who have pushed back their start date. We know that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis issued an executive order saying that all brick and mortar schools have to be open by the end of August. But a lot of school districts such as Hillsborough County, Sarasota County have offered different options for parents. You could send your child back to school, and we've heard from a lot of parents that that is really their only option with getting back to work, or you can choose virtual learning. But again, this emergency injunction is saying, hey, no in-person learning for however long that may be.
And this is not to say that this is going to be accepted, that this is actually going to be going into effect. This is an attempt now by the Florida Educators Association to delay the start of in-person schooling to basically statewide now, start the 2020-2021 school year virtually. This goes against, as Daisy just mentioned, against what Governor DeSantis has wanted. Governor DeSantis wants school to start by the end of August, and he wants parents to have the option of virtual schooling, basically, learning from home, or sending children to schools. A lot of parents, we talk about this all the time, so many parents out there don't have the luxury of being able to stay at home with their child and basically be there for them for the virtual learning process. Many parents out there, they have to go to work, they have to earn a living, and they can't stay at home. So there's a lot to break down here. There's a lot to discuss. We're running a WFLA Now interactive poll here, everybody, on Facebook Live. We're also going to be reading through some of your comments, everybody, with the hashtag HeyJB and hashtag HeyDaisy, asking what you think. I know that when we run these streams, everybody, we have a lot of folks, a lot of educators who join us.
Yes.
We have a lot of parents that join us, a lot of former educators, teachers, school staff. First and foremost, what your district is planning is up on our website, WFLA.com, the WFLA app. But as a reminder, many schools have considered starting virtually. Despite what Governor DeSantis has basically indicated that he wants to see happen, he wants the school year to start in August, and he wants parents to have the option of whether or not they can, to send their kids to school or to start virtually. Many districts are taking it upon themselves to at least consider.
Miami-Dade County has actually completely moved online, I believe, for at least the first month, JB. They will be virtual over in Miami-Dade County, of course, a hotspot for coronavirus here in the state of Florida.
And here in Tampa Bay, yes, so that's for Miami-Dade. And then here in Tampa Bay, the Hillsborough County public school system, they have had conversations, at least just conversations about starting the first 9 online has been a popular hashtag, starting with the first 9 weeks online and then reevaluating at a later date depending on where we are with the COVID-19 pandemic. But Hillsborough County is going to be meeting again on Thursday, I believe. Yeah, this Thursday, August 6th. And they're going to have, as we anticipate, further discussion on whether or not they believe that starting the school year virtually for all students, not a choice, but all students starting virtually, is the best course of action for the Hillsborough County public school system. Not just parents and students, but also teachers and educators.
Right.
These are folks that do not want to go and report to school and get, have the chance or have the odds of getting sick, whether it be from a student or from a colleague. So again, a lot to break down here. Daisy, we're going to get to the response here, but we've been talking about the response now to this for some time. And when we run polls, it's pretty one-sided when we see that there are a lot of folks out there that are in favor of this starting online, given the trends that we've seen over the last 6 weeks, the last, really 6 to 8 weeks here in the state of Florida with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, we've talked about, I believe it was last week with the Pasco County schools when they had a protest where this group wanted the consistent rolling average of the 14-day percent positivity to be below 5%, I believe it was. So we've been talking about this a lot, seen a lot of protests from educators, parents, students. I think it was a car protest that we saw in Pasco County, that these associations, these groups, these people on Facebook who have kind of formed these groups really have a good grasp on what they are looking for, a lot with that percent positivity, which has fallen here in Florida over the past few days. But a lot of people are commenting that they may be because we haven't had as many tests due to some of these state-run testing sites, especially over on the east coast of Florida, being closed down for Hurricane Tropical Storm Isaias.
Yeah, a lot going on here in the state of Florida, everybody, with Isaias earlier this week, brushing the state of Florida on the East Coast. I want to take a look and make sure that our poll is active here, everybody, before we start looking at some of the, it's very active. We have more than 1,500 poll votes so far, and we're going to continue to monitor our WFLA Now Interactive poll. We basically asked, should Florida delay in-person schooling statewide? And we gave you two options. Yes, start virtually across the state, or no, allow in-person schooling at the start. So we'll look at the results here momentarily, everybody. But we're going to read your hashtag KJB, hashtag Daisy comments in like 60 seconds. Here's the exact information that we have from Mike Vasilinda, our Capitol reporter up there in Tallahassee. He says the Florida Education Association is going to be asking a judge for a temporary injunction to delay the start of K through 12 schooling statewide in the fall, in-person schooling. The FEA, Florida Education Association, is the state's largest teacher and education workers union, representing over 137,000 educators statewide. An attorney for the FEA had already filed a lawsuit on the union's behalf asking to delay the start of school, and now the union will ask the judge in the case for an emergency injunction to delay the start of school while the lawsuit is being considered. So you have the original proposition of the lawsuit. That was the initial action, and when there wasn't a speedy enough response to that lawsuit, now we have this emergency injunction that is being filed to get a judge's attention with the school year, with basically the end of August looming. I mean, we're only 4 days into the month of August, but my goodness, the last few weeks have flown by. And as we get closer to the end of August, all of these, the time frame where educators and state and state educators and also just the boards, all the school boards across the Tampa Bay area and across the state, they have to make major necessary decisions between now and the start of school year on how to prepare. You don't just snap your fingers, flip a switch, and all of a sudden you have either in-person schooling or virtual learning. There are weeks would be rushed, weeks of preparation that are necessary to either go option A, option B, option C, so on and so forth.
We talked about that also a lot, JB, one of our previous streams, about how a lot of folks didn't think distance learning, virtual learning was really working for their children. And we also heard from educators saying, hey, we didn't have a lot of time to prepare. And if this is going to be the case, that also may be the same thing moving forward, where educators aren't as prepared. I mean, for Hillsborough County schools are supposed to start on August 24th, as are a few other of our school districts here in the Tampa Bay area. So, JB, that's only 20 days away. That's not a long time to be preparing a curriculum and lessons for virtual learning. It's
not. But ask our teachers in the comment section on WFLA Now, and they say, listen, now that we have grasped the reality of the situation, we haven't started a semester, we haven't started a school year and had to make this major transition mid-school year to go from in-person learning to online curriculum. If they start the school year online, they're in a better position for teaching to be effective, right? For students to be able to retain the curriculum and learn online. It's just going to be more of a fluid process, according to our WFLA Facebook Live commenters who are teachers. Speaking of which, we've delayed this way too long. let's get to some of the comments here, everybody, that are coming in. And my comment feature isn't working as well on my screen here, so I'm going to read them off of my phone. Using the hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyDaisy, we'll be reading your comments in response to our question. What do you think about the Florida Education Association filing for an injunction to delay the start of in-person schooling? If you use the hashtag HeyJB that you see on the left and right side of your screen underneath our names and the yellow stripe, if you use those hashtags, that signals to us that you want for us to read your comment aloud out of the Facebook Live comment section. So
I've had one pulled up here for a little bit, JB, and now that we've been speaking about teachers and their curriculum, WFLA Now top fan Jonathan Guitar, hashtag HeyJB, my wife is a teacher and they still don't know what to tell them to do or prepare for. So many unknowns and they expect them to teach this year. Such a mess.
A mess is a word that's a description that I've seen used repeatedly as far as the start of the 2020-2021 school year. For listen, statewide there's mixed messaging, in counties there's mixed messaging.
Yes.
There's just indecisiveness at a time where we need decisions to be made, and really it's a result of being in unprecedented times. Megan Gross, hashtag HeyJB, I agree, delaying in-person schooling, start virtually. Megan, you are not alone with wanting the school year to start virtually. We're going to get to our poll results here momentarily. We're closing in on 3,000 poll votes in our WFLA Now interactive poll here on Facebook Live.
Leanne Steve says, hashtag HeyJB, parents needing to work does not outweigh kids and teachers' safety. Whoops, I need to scroll up. It's called triaging virtual all the way. That's the comment from Leanne Steve.
Denise Ray, hashtag HeyJB, please do not speculate on how teachers feel either way. Online teaching is not a fit for all. You know, so we have heard there have been teachers that have been, I don't want to use the word fighting. Let's say, you know, they have a major preference for online schooling based on what we've heard from Tampa Bay area schools, that there are a lot of teachers out there would prefer to have an online teaching assignment rather than having to report to school because they have this worry of getting sick. But right, as Denise is commenting here, that's not across the board. There are teachers that see it the other way, that don't have a problem with reporting to school. There are teachers that are just feel lucky to have their jobs given the state of things. So we're not speaking for all teachers. We're speaking basically in generalities about how a majority of teachers are feeling out there, Denise.
Top fan Alexandra Kent, hashtag HeyDaisy. The teachers are trying to protect themselves. Let them be safe at home without worrying about loss of livelihood or pensions. That's our comment here from top fan Alexandra Kent.
Lily Perez, hashtag HeyJB. I've been working in school for 2 days now, and we don't even have Clorox wipes to clean the rooms. How do they think that we can be safe with more than 1,000 students walking in and out every 45 minutes? Lily, that's a sobering comment there from Lily. Jose Esparra, a WFLA top Facebook fan, hashtag HeyJB. I think that's the smartest thing that they do. They are not prepared for this. We keep coming back to the notion of being prepared, right, and the clock is ticking, everybody, and preparation is going to be so vital to ensure that kids, that kids are able to learn safely, but also learn. Right? There's no point of attempting to do schooling if students aren't going to be able to learn effectively. Florida, with the achievement gaps that have been noted by Governor DeSantis, it's very, very important to continue education here in the state, and it's very, very important for kids to continue learning. But that's secondary to, of course, kids having to be in a safe learning environment. Right. And Governor DeSantis has said time and time again, he looks at the transmission rates between kids and kids, that there's questionable results out there as to whether or not children can transmit it to folks that are older adults, right, older folks, and we're talking about multi-generational situations and so on and so forth. And he also talks about how kids don't seem to fall susceptible to the virus in the same way that adults or seniors do. So, but teachers and educators and parents especially, they if it's your school if it's your child, if it's your parent, it becomes a lot more real, right? Versus you're talking about a state of, hundreds of thousands of families. So there's a lot.
There's a lot
to consider. Daisy.
I have two hashtag Hey Daisy comments here. The first one is from Kelly Height-Smith, hashtag Hey Daisy. I would rather kids and teachers be safe and a little behind. This is a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. I hope. Kids are resilient. So that's the comment from Kelly Height-Smith. And we have another hashtag Hey Daisy here from Jenna Buckler, who says, hashtag Hey Daisy, for counties that are high, absolutely. It shouldn't be one size fits all, which is basically what Governor Ron DeSantis has been saying across the board for a lot of things. We were a lot different from Miami-Dade County. Things have obviously changed here in the Tampa Bay area, but we're different from, say, the Panhandle, who might not have, some of those counties don't have as many cases as we see here in, say, Hillsborough County or Pinellas County.
And there has been, when you look at the data, there has been disagreement on whether or not this is in the virus in its current stage where we are now in the month of August, whether or not rural counties are seeing the same sort of spread as some of the more urban centers of the state, such as Orlando, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, Miami. And a Harvard group of researchers, in their analysis of the data, the statewide data, they seem to believe that that this is something that affects really the entire state of Florida, not just those urban centers that we have across the state. So what do you, I mean, my goodness, do you take a region-based approach to schooling? Do certain areas that have a certain threshold of numbers start virtually versus others that are allowed to start in person? I think that an uneven approach would lead to some real anger out there from folks on both sides, really, depending on what area of Florida that you're in. But basically, as we understand it, it's going to be a statewide start in August, or whether or not this emergency injunction is effective remains to be seen. But counties and their school boards have, of course, tremendous power on how to start the school year. It's their school district. It's their, public school system or their schools. But the state kind of issues the recommendations, and the state kind of calls the shot from a state level, from the State Department of Education. So when push comes to shove, if the governor of Florida wants parents to have the option, and you have certain districts that are saying, no, we're not giving them the option, we're starting virtually, you have two competing powers that be there that are trying to fight for what they think is best for kids across the state, and parents and educators as well.
Another comment here, JB, from Nicole Ferrer, hashtag Hey Daisy.
I was just about to read that one, yeah.
My daughter has an IEP and will not learn from virtual. In March, the teacher realized it and recommended not doing it again for her. So that's the comment from Nicole, which is something else we talk about a lot here on stream when we are talking about schools, the reopening of schools, how they're going to reopen, what it's going to look like. Are students with special needs, students with IEPs, students maybe who need a little extra help learning and who won't benefit from virtual learning. So I think Governor DeSantis had a roundtable discussion actually here in Tampa Bay, in Clearwater, talking about that, where he brought in families with students with special needs who spoke about how they want to get their children back to school. So we heard from a lot of families in Clearwater last week or 2 weeks ago from a roundtable with Governor DeSantis.
Why don't you take the next one here, because I'm working on getting something straight here.
Julie Malin Eckner, I apologize, Julie, if I butchered your name. I do apologize, Julie. Hashtag KJB, there are a lot of parents and children that want and need to be on campus. I am tired of people trying to take that option away. That is the comment there from Julie. And right below that, WFLA top fan Tammy Martson Harris, hashtag Daisy. There are some people stay home, and they're out and about with their children, but yet they can't go to school. Makes no sense. If they feel that way, keep your children home if you say you are that scared. That is the comment from Tammy, which is something we have seen from various other commenters here on WFLA Now streams. I'm scrolling down for some more comments.
Yeah, and so for those, let's reset for a second. For those of you just joining us, everybody, Florida's largest union for educators, the Florida Education Association, 137,000 educators strong. Now, after the lawsuit was initially filed, filing a emergency injunction with a Florida judge to expedite the process of what they want to see happen. And what they want to see happen is delaying in-person schooling. They do not want statewide, they do not want to see students, teachers, school staff report to school for the start of the school year if virtual learning is an option, of course, and virtual learning is an option.
Right.
So they want to start the school year virtually until a later date, at which time that they can reevaluate and reassess where we are in the pandemic to make a decision at that point as to whether or not it's safe for students, staff to return to school grounds. So we don't know whether or not that that injunction is going to be successful. We'll of course keep you posted on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, but that's where we are right now. And reacting and reading your comments with the hashtag AJB and hashtag Hey Daisy, everybody. And our poll results are coming up in 5 minutes time. Yeah, my word. So we're asking in a WFLA Now Interactive poll, should Florida delay in-person schooling statewide? And we've received about 4,000 votes.
Wow.
It's a lot of votes. We're going to get to your poll results coming up in about 5 minutes time. 5:30 on the dot.
I have a comment here from Bridget McCartney, hashtag Hey Daisy. We need this. So many children at risk. It doesn't matter if it's only a 1% fatality rate. Some kids are going to fall into that deadly statistic. There's a comment here on stream from Bridget.
Lindsay Firster, hashtag Hey JB. It's not that people don't want to go to school. The question is it safe? And see, okay, so here's something that I hearken back to so many times, and I've said this a million times, so apologies for our WFLA Now super viewers out there that watch us a lot, because I say this all the time. It's when in-person schooling starts, it is inevitable yes, that a child gets sick, that there's transmission within our schools, that a teacher gets it, a school staff member gets it, that there's spread within a particular fourth grade science class. And then we start to hear these stories coming out of Miami, or we start to hear these stories come out of Jacksonville, or from the Panhandle, or from Gainesville. And we start to hear these stories of transmission. Now, I don't know if it's going to be just a few here and there, or if there's going to be more that would make it more of an alarming issue. But asking teachers and asking parents out there, from their standpoint, one child getting sick is unacceptable. That one child, that the threshold shouldn't be, oh, okay, so we have a certain number in our head of students or staff members that we anticipate getting sick just because that's the nature of the world that we're living in a pandemic world. There is a very, very vocal group out there saying, if we can't ensure that all of our kids and all of our teachers, all of our educators and school staff can't go to school safely, then we have to start virtually. That this isn't really a decision to be had. That this is a right, a right for students to be able to learn safely. That we have to, consider and put first and foremost. And so, again. Then you have the other side of people saying, listen, I have commenters commenting in here saying, I can't be at home with my child for virtual learning. I can't stay at home with them. I need them to go back to school so I can go to work. And there are a lot of parents out there that are in this catch-22, this extremely difficult predicament right now where they have to decide between going to work and earning a living versus being at home with their child because they can't send their child to school. So, again, everyone wants to see it one way, but there's so many other variables that have to be considered. A few more comments. We're closing in on 5:30, everybody. We'll get to the results of our poll.
Top fan Mariah Reyna, hashtag Hey JB, hashtag Hey Daisy. Look at the numbers on the demographic of positive cases. The 17-year-old age group is higher than the senior group at this point. Keep our children safe. That's something that I thought might come up here, Mariah. That it was the comment saying keep our children safe was the comment from Mariah, that we just had a 17-year-old student die in Manatee County with the last update. We're not sure exactly when that happened because reported deaths take a few days, a few weeks to actually get into the state for the Florida Department of Health report. But Manatee County is going to be meeting, I think their school board was meeting either tonight or tomorrow at some point this week for public comment. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of parents that are talking about that, worried about that one student who tragically passed away from COVID-19 complications in Manatee County.
Tonya Hansen, a WFLA Top Facebook fan. Hi there to you, Tonya. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon or evening now with us. Hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyDaisy. Does this union represent any Bay Area teachers? And yeah, oh yeah, they do. They represent teachers across the state. This is the largest collection of teachers in a union format across the entire state of Florida, 137,000 strong. So that includes the Tampa Bay area. That's across the entire state. And this is a union that has a lot of power when it comes to 137,000 educators across the state. That's a lot of workforce there. And so when they file a lawsuit and then an injunction, it's gonna raise raise a lot of eyebrows, get a lot of attention out there. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, includes teachers across the entire state. The time now, everybody, is 5:30. 5:30 on the dot. We asked you in a WFLA Now interactive poll, should Florida delay in-person schooling statewide? And we gave you two options. And I believe we can pop it up on our screen now. Should Florida delay in-person schooling statewide? And 70% say yes, start virtually statewide, and 30% say no, allow in-person to start. This isn't as one-sided as you would think. Based on the comments that we're reading, everyone, there's a lot of folks out there that are screaming from a rooftop, start virtually. And I've seen the hashtag first 9 online, as in the first 9 weeks online. But for every, for every 7 people out there, in a group of 10, we have another 3 in that same group that are saying no, allow in-person schooling to start. So it's not as 50-50, or it's not as, I should say, 90-10 as you would think in a poll like this. 70-30 split, and the exact votes, 3,376 saying yes, 1,427 saying no. So closing in on 5,000 votes here in our WFLA Now interactive poll. We'll take a few more comments before we wrap up here on WFLA Now. As a reminder, if you don't want to hear from Daisy and myself, you can read the entire story on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. For those of you on Facebook Live, you click on the pinned link in the comment below, or in the description on this video if you scroll left.
And speaking of, I had a comment, and I'm right here from WFLA top fan Dion White, hashtag KJB. USF, UCF, University of Florida are in the top 10 list of colleges with high positive cases that will trickle down to K through 12. That's the comment from Dion. And our digital data reporter Kelsey Sunderland actually did that story today, and that story is posted on WFLA.com if you have a student who may not be in K through 12, but is going to one of those schools, or even if you're joining us from across the country, I'm sure Kelsey has that full list linked if you need to think about your children moving forward into college right now.
Tara Catherine, hashtag HeyJB. She's a WFLA Top Facebook fan. Hi, Tara. Hashtag HeyJB. Hashtag HeyDaisy. Please, please let the public know that teachers can only return, retire, take leave. There are not enough online positions, even for teachers with health needs. And that's the comment there from Tara. And that's echoing what we were talking about earlier, that on previous WFLA Now streams, and just in my life, because I know educators within family, friends, my circles. Yep. I know educators. And there is a very high demand for online teaching positions right now across Tampa Bay, across the state of Florida. Teachers, if they can be safe and continue earning pay, they want to do it from the comfort of their home and not risk getting COVID-19 from a student, from a fellow educator, from a school staff member. From their point of view, it's a risk, and it's not a risk that they want to take, but they have to, of course, continue paying the bills. They have to earn money. So they're in this extremely difficult predicament where there's only so many online positions, online teaching positions, versus the in-person teaching positions. And when we have this overwhelming number of teachers that are fighting for those, or competing for those, or just putting themselves in position for those online teaching positions, it becomes a problem of supply and demand. And so as a reminder, if the state decides that online schooling virtual schooling is going to be the start of the school year, then teachers, I think, can breathe at least a temporary, slight sigh of relief,
Right.
knowing that that in-person schooling is not going to be an option for parents, and hence districts across the state are going to have to, of course, go to an online teaching solution to start the 2020-2021 school year. But we're not at that point yet. And as of right now, if you go to WFLA.com and you look at the start of the school year, I mean, we're talking about Citrus County, August 20th, Hardy County, August 12th, Hernando County, August 31st, Highlands, August 17th, Hillsborough, August 24th, so on and so forth. These are all coming up. These are all dates that are coming up soon. And as of right now, every Tampa Bay area school district is starting with the option of in-person schooling and online learning,
Right.
As being the options for parents. So we're not at that major critical point yet where teachers can, again, somewhat, sigh a breath of relief.
Another comment here from Cassie Kelly, hashtag KJB. When schools reopen, will classes be smaller? Will buses be used to enforce social distancing? We've talked about this before on stream, Cassie, that we aren't privy right now to these plans from different school districts. So we're not sure how classrooms are going to look, how things are going to operate from county to county, if hallways are going to be one way, if that's even possible at some schools. And I think things will vary not just from county to county, but school by school in those counties.
I saw some tweet over the weekend about there being plexiglass put around a child's desk. I don't remember where I saw it from. I don't even know if it was real or not, but it just it made me stop for a second on social media, and I said, my goodness, is that what it's come to, where could you imagine a classroom, let's say with 20 or so desks in it, let's say 30 or so desks, and every desk for an elementary school or middle school student has this enormous like plexiglass shield, this clear shield around them. It was a very, very stark visual for me that made me go, my goodness, this is some of the things that some districts are at least coming up with that idea, because school is here.
Yes.
It's August in Florida. School's here. We're it's right around the corner, and these are some of the things now that it's getting very, very real, is what I'm trying to say, that all of these realities are starting to become very, very, before you know it, everybody, we're going to be talking about kids going back to school, and whether that's, reporting in their pajamas to their living room couch with a laptop, or whether that's, actually getting on the bus, going to school with a mask or not a mask, and going to their respective classroom to learn, remains to be seen. We're going to, of course, stay on top of it.
Cliff McAfee Jr. shared the stream. Cliff, we appreciate you. A WFLA super fan, I believe you called some of our viewers, JB. Cliff says, hashtag Hey Daisy, if this was in Pittsburgh, of course where I'm from, the teachers would be on strike. Here, the teachers cannot strike. It's the comment from Cliff, and we appreciate you, Cliff, for sharing the stream.
And there have been protests, demonstrations.
Yes.
Teachers who have, in like Pasco County, we had that stream a couple weeks ago with Marco Villarreal, who was there, and teachers that were honking. And it wasn't just teachers; it was parents and kids. We interviewed some kids that said, "I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school." And while you would think, yeah, of course, that's what a child is going to say, "I'm not ready to go to school," but there was some real authenticity in the way that some of these students spoke, and saying, I don't think it's safe for me to go back to school. So
I believe Marco talked to a young lady who I believe maybe her brother or someone in her family was immunocompromised.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. In the car, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember that.
I remember that very distinctly. Yes.
One or two more here before we wrap up on WFLA Now. I think I saw one here from Leanne Steve, hashtag KJB, virtual for all. It is not worth the risk.
Dana Kelso, hashtag Hey Daisy, who's cleaning throughout the day? Are the teachers now janitors? Is the comment there. And that's something that also has yet to be seen, now that I'm thinking about whether students will stay in, middle school and high school students, whether they will be in one room throughout the day, and maybe teachers, history teachers, math teachers, specialty teachers kind of rotate. We just don't know any of these plans right now. And as for some schools, 20 days out as of right now until school starts.
I just had a comment disappear, but there was one teacher who said, "I'm a teacher and I want to go back." and then it disappeared on my screen. It's not. There are some teachers who are very much ready to go back to work. And by go back to work, I mean actually go into school and educate students in person. It's not 100% wanting online learning to start the school year. So, and everybody, I think that's going to do it for us here on WFLA Now. Really appreciate all the comments. Again, WFLA.com and WFLA's app is going to be your source for all the up-to-date information regarding. We have a breakdown of every school district in the Tampa Bay area, from Polk to Sarasota to Pasco to Hillsborough to Manatee to Citrus to Highlands to Hernando. Yes. Every county in the Tampa Bay area, we have a breakdown of what is currently going on in your schools, whether or not there's meetings that are still to be had to discuss whether or not there's still options or whether or not there's still alternatives or plans that are being discussed. This is still a very fluid thing for many, many districts in the Tampa Bay area. Obviously, it's a very, very fluid thing as far as the Florida Education Association is confirmed, as they have filed this injunction to get a judge's attention here in their efforts to delay the start of in-person schooling K through 12 to begin the 2020-2021 school year. Read more about it on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, and we'll continue to have WFLA Now streams here, more coverage in the weeks ahead as we continue to monitor what is going to happen with the start of school here in Florida. For Daisy Ruth, I'm JB Buno. We'll be back.